host, Jake Uger. We've got a great show for you today and a great guest. Legendary filmmaker Michael Moore is going to join us to talk about his book about the upcoming presidential election. And we've been taking your questions all week. Later in the program, video questions, text questions from you guys to Michael Moore. But first, I want to introduce an equally legendary filmmaker, Robert Greenwald, who came in all the way from his office down the hall. And he is, of course, the founder of Brave New Films and the director of Walmart, Outfoxed, Iraq for Sale, etc., etc. And he's going to talk to Michael, filmmaker to filmmaker, activist to activist. Robert, welcome.
Thank you. It's good to be with you.
All right, well, take it away.
Good morning, Michael. How are you?
Hey, Robert, how are you?
Good. Thanks for joining Meet the Bloggers.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you really well. Thanks for joining the show and coming on to talk about your book, which I absolutely love, by the way. It's laugh out loud, and it also gets you inspired to take action, which is a really interesting and challenging combination. So let me ask you the first question, which is, what made you decide to do the book? And did you ever think about doing a short film instead? Was there an aha moment, or was it a gradual process figuring that you had to be involved in this critical election?
I was just, I think we live in pretty dark times, and it's important to keep your sense of humor, and I started writing down a lot of things just to, basically to, keep myself amused. And I thought, maybe I should put something out here during the election season, sort of my take on what's going on and all the, the craziness and the nonsense and whatever. So, I started writing it, and I'm very proud of it. It's a handy little guide to this campaign season, and you can carry it around with you and refer to it every now and then when you want a good laugh, or if you want some good information about the various races around the country. In the book, I list the 12 Senate seats that I believe we can win, and the 30 House seats that I believe we can win. So, so there's lots of good information like that in there, and probably some things that'll get me in trouble.
Yes, a lot of trouble. We hope we'll encourage that trouble.
Thanks. Yeah, like I need any more of it in my life.
It's coming in waves. You mentioned something. You talked about the humor, and it's one thing that I've never had a chance to ask you, which is, in the filmmaking and in the politics and in the book, at least from my point of view, you walk an absolutely wonderful line between the humor and the seriousness and when to use it and when not to use it. How much of that is strategic and conscious on your part, or how much of it is this amazing gift you have to make us laugh about the most serious issues?
Well, thank you for saying that. I don't think it's an amazing gift. I think that's actually how we all get through our daily lives. Every single day is full of serious moments, happy moments, sad moments, things that make you laugh, things that make you shake your head and wonder what the heck is going on here. And so basically when I make my films, I just sort of stay in the way that I am in my daily life. Sort of at times bemused by what I see, at times angry at what I see, and at times trying to figure out how to join with others to take action to fix some things. So it's all of that. But I think it's a good question, because I really try to encourage other filmmakers to not be afraid to use some humor, because it's a great way, I think, to communicate with people, and I think it's I don't know. I was voted class comic in my senior year in high school. Class clown, class comic, whatever it was called then. I was the kind of guy in high school where, I think I had 2 dates the entire 4 years. So basically, I had to learn that to have a good sense of humor.
And hopefully that got you more dates back in high school. So,
no, actually, it didn't. But I did learn that girls, they'd rather laugh than cry. So,
Yes.
It didn't do any good to get anybody to go to the movies with me or whatever. But by the time I was, 25, I was I was able to get out of the house a little bit.
Good.
How we get into this? What suddenly?
Okay. Well,
Suddenly I'm on Montel.
yeah. Sorry about that. Okay, we'll go to the serious political stuff of Meet the Bloggers, but we're inspired to include humor here. So one of the things that I always struggle with, and Cenk and I were discussing this beforehand, and we see it in the hundreds of questions we got. So in an imperfect world, if you identify yourself as a progressive, which I assume you do, there are a series of issues you care passionately about. You've talked about absolutely brilliantly in the films. We have imperfect candidates. Where and how do you draw the lines with supporting imperfect candidates? Where do you figure, here I'm going to hold the line because this issue is absolutely critical and I will put this candidate's feet to the fire? And, is that a conscious process? And it's a constant dialogue, and you'll see, again, with the questions we've gotten are really interesting, and many of them circle around that.
Well, why don't we start with taking candidates off the pedestals. They're not marble statues in the park. They're human beings, just like us. And we're all imperfect, all of us. All are, seriously flawed in some ways. And we all are on a lifelong path or struggle to get it together, to get it right, to be a better person, to think things out better politically or whatever. So maybe we should start seeing candidates as, they're essentially like us, except, they want to run for office. And that's why I don't get too. I know I can tell you from my email that I've been getting the last few weeks. People are very. They don't want to say it all out, but they'll write it in an email to me. They're very disappointed that the Obama campaign has taken of late. It doesn't seem to be the campaign of old. Or the way it was, a year ago, or even 9 months ago. And as Obama has moved toward the center, people start to see the wheels coming off the train. And this is really a problem Democrats usually have, not the Republicans. The Republicans know it's important to inspire their base and get their base out to vote. The Democrats are always running away from their base, thinking that's the way they're going to get elected. That if they just sound a little bit more like the Republicans will vote for them. And what they fail to understand is that people who are more conservative or to the right of center already have a party. It's called the Republican Party. They don't need another party. They certainly don't want an imitation version of the Republican Party. And I've said this for years that people when you have a choice between the real thing and the imitation, you're always going to go with the real thing. I mean, it's like the old car commercials. They talk about the leather seats, and then they had the cheaper cars with pleather, whatever the hell that was. So I think the public is like, if they have the choice between leather and pleather, they're always going to go with the leather. Choice between wearing 100% cotton and some, 50, 30, 20 blend of whatever chemical fibers are in the shirt. You usually the cotton always feels better when it's at 100%. So I think that's why I probably got a lot of those emails that people are starting to feel, geez, why is he doing this? Why is he saying this? And and if I had his ear, I certainly would tell him to stay true to himself, that he should follow his heart, stick with Chicago people there that were running the campaign. Do not listen to the DLC. Do not listen to all these party hacks that have lost election after election after election. They lose even when they win, like in 2000. I mean, they won, but they couldn't even get into the door of the house that they won in the big game, the big contest. So I don't know. I don't get too depressed about it. I just keep, like with Obama, I just remind people, remember what the Republicans are constantly reminding us of about him. He has the most liberal voting record in the United States Senate, more liberal than Ted Kennedy, more liberal than anybody. So in other words, if you want to continue to live in this country, as far as senators goes, he's as good as it gets. So I understand how we want to try and get him to do everything we want him to do, but he's not going to be us. And if we wanted all those things, I guess we'd be running for office. We're not. He is. So let's not put him up on a pedestal. Let's realize he's going to have his flaws, and let's get these Republicans the hell out of there and try and get back what's left of our country.
Amen. Well, thank you, Michael. They're signaling me frantically that I have to stop talking to you because the bloggers in Cenk are going to kill me because they all have lots of good stuff. So we're going to take a short break, not a commercial break, by the way, because we don't have commercials, but a short break so the crew and everyone can get reset, and then the bloggers in Cenk will be talking with you for the rest of the time. Thanks again.
Okay, great. I'm looking forward to it. Thank you very much.
All right, we'll be right back.
Hello, I'm Robert Greenwald, the executive producer of Meet the Bloggers, and I hope you're enjoying this interview with Michael Moore. I know I am. I hope that you'll ask Michael some questions. If you go to the live blog, let him know what's on your mind. Let him know what you want his opinion about. And let us know how we're doing. Take the polls. And continue to join us on Meet the Bloggers with Michael Moore.
If we do all the things that bloggers are doing to try and make sure that those on the Judiciary Committee don't let Rove get away with it, there is a very good chance that he will actually be brought to justice.
I expect to see all these big noses out there on the Senate floor because these are outright fabrications.
The more troops there are, the more that the Afghan people feel that they are either going to bear civilian casualties because of the presence of our troops, or that they're just being occupied.
All right, welcome back to the show, everybody. In a little bit, we are going to take your questions, not only the ones you submitted earlier, but also from the live blog as well for Michael. But now it's time to meet the bloggers, and our bloggers have some questions for Michael as well. And of course, we're going to discuss his guide to the 2008 elections. So let me introduce our bloggers. And we're going to start with Cheryl Conti. She is the extraordinary Jill at jackandjillpolitics.com, voted one of the top 10 sites by Black Weblog Awards. Welcome, Cheryl. How are you?
Fine.
And we are also going to talk to the author of The Hostile Takeover and The Uprising, the man who's looking to start many uprisings, blogger David Sirota. So, Michael, you know, you have a chapter in your book called How to Elect John McCain, or How Many Democrats Does It Take to Lose the Most Winnable Presidential Election in American History, a blueprint for how to blow it. And one of the things in that segment is McCain and being nice to him, how Democrats are way too nice to him. We actually have a clip about that. The guy who put that clip together is John McCain himself, of Democrats praising him. Let's watch that first and then come back and talk about it.
He can work with Democrats on key issues, whether it's campaign finance reform or tobacco policy. He's worked with us.
Well, John McCain is a personal friend, a great friend, and I would be honored to run with or against John McCain.
And I have enormous respect for him. He is a courageous, patriotic American who stands up for what he believes.
I admire Senator McCain greatly, and he's one of the people we model our campaign on because he is very direct, very blunt, and nobody has to guess at what he's thinking.
You know, I love John McCain. He's a great guy.
Since coming to Washington, I've believed that the right approach begins with the proposal put forward by Senator Lieberman and Senator McCain.
I know Senator McCain has a lifetime of experience that he will bring to the White House. And Senator Obama has a speech he gave in 2002.
So, obvious question. What's the matter with them? You know, why do they keep doing the wrong things? It's been how many years now? 20, 30 years. Why do they keep opponents? And is there, and more important than that, is there something we can do to shake them up and get them to change what they're doing?
Well, first of all, let me say that the reason why I think a lot of people, a lot of Democrats, a lot of liberals often talk that way is because I think it's in our nature to try and be a little more open, a little more. I mean, that's sort of the definition of small L liberal. You know, open to new ideas, new things, have an open mind, be able to work with other people. The hate that comes from the other side is a very different sort of thing, and it's why we don't quite know how to deal with it, and we don't want to go down into their gutter and hate back. I mean, we hate what they do, but we don't hate them as people. And but they make it very personal, as they did with Kerry and Gore, and as they're now doing with Obama. I think to shake up the Democrats, they listen to people. They do pay attention to those emails, phone calls, letters, etc. I would encourage people to do that, to write to the Obama campaign, to tell them to fight back. We need a Democratic Party that's got a backbone and is not afraid to stand up for what they believe in. The American people want to see somebody who believes in something. They don't want to see a politician who just wants to win and will say anything to win. So, and that's not who Obama is. So he should really take the gloves off and go for it. In fact, he could learn from Hillary Clinton. I think the reason she ended up doing as well as she did, being as close as she ended up being, is because she wasn't afraid to fight. And so now is not the time to be Mr. Nice Guy. And if they continue to do that, they're not gonna win over people. They're just gonna look like a bunch of wimps. It's like if you're afraid of the Republicans, if you're afraid to stand up to the Republicans, how are you going to stand up to Al Qaeda? I mean, it's like, come on, guys, fight like you want to win this.
Yeah, David, you have a question specifically about the Obama campaign for Michael, I believe. So go ahead.
Yeah, hey Michael, great book. I really enjoyed it. The question I have for you surrounding the book is, what specific things that you lay out in the book do you think Obama is doing best right now? And what specific things that you lay out in the book do you think Obama is doing worst or not doing at all?
I think that he. Well, that's a good question. I think the things that he is doing best right now, and I'm having to pause while I come up with three things, is that he has an innate sense of being in touch with the people that are out there. And the more that he does that, the more he stays connected to the voters, to the grassroots, the better off he's going to be. The last couple of days with McCain and his 10 houses, and you guys have had a great thing up here on your site about help McCain find his homes. I think those are great things, and I think Obama using his sense of humor is devastating to McCain, who doesn't know how many houses he has. So more of that. I hope that he surprises us with a vice presidential pick. Instead of going to the same well that everybody goes to, that would be a great move. And the things that he's doing the worst right now, I think, is that he can't show up to a gunfight with a pea shooter. He's got to really be able to give it back and feel good about giving it back, and not shy away from, I saw yesterday on the House thing, the McCain campaign came back and used him being a POW as a defense against the House. It made no sense whatsoever. If they keep going to this POW issue, I think Obama is going to have to stand up and say, listen, we need to be talking about 2008 here, and we're not going to refight or relive the Vietnam War. If McCain is going to try to rewrite the history of the Vietnam War, then I think Obama should set him and the public straight, because if we haven't learned those lessons, then we're really going to be in deep trouble.
You know, it's funny. I just wrote a blog on theyoungturks.com about how McCain is overplaying the POW paraphrase Joe Biden, he's doing a verb, a noun, and a POW every single sentence now.
Right.
And it cheapens
Right.
it. But
Right.
Michael, I do want to concentrate on the VP pick for a second too. I'm going to come back to that POW issue because I think it's an important one. But Matt from Germany wrote on the live blog he should not pick someone who voted period. And I know Cheryl about it, so let's go to Cheryl. We'll get your thoughts on it.
Yeah, great. I really enjoyed the book too.
Hi.
Michael. It was very educational. It was very educational and entertaining. I learned and I laughed. My question in terms of the VP pick, you brought that up earlier. You say in the book, if Obama wants to elect John McCain, he should select a conservative white guy, a Republican, or a general. So if Obama wants to get himself elected, who do you think, or what kind of person do you think he should be announcing today as a VP pick?
I think to pick a woman, an experienced woman, and when I say experienced, I don't mean necessarily to elective office, but somebody who is well known, well liked. I threw out the name of the head of his search committee, Caroline Kennedy. A lot of people seem to like that idea. I love the idea of an Obama-Kennedy ticket. I think that's a real winner. But again, you see, my attitude is I'm trying to figure out how to get the base out, how to get out, because when I say the base of the Democratic Party, that's the bulk of the American people, working people, middle-class people. They agree with the policies and the platform of the Democratic Party more than they do with the Republicans. But they like to vote for Republicans because at least they know what they're getting. And our biggest problem with this election is if too many people show up and vote with the attitude of, well, I'm going to go with the devil I know as opposed to the devil I don't know, then McCain is going to win this. So, I think that there's a number of women that would be good for him to run with. I just think to go with just the same old, somebody who's been in Washington D.C. for a long time, white guy politician. He needs to be bold and surprise everybody here. And I know a lot of other names people have been suggesting. Gore, Hillary Clinton, Michael Bloomberg. Any thinking outside the box is good thinking. I think it would inspire the electorate.
All right, guys, we need to take a quick break now. I want to thank Cheryl for being on this week. They're going to come back next week and talk to Michael again, so everybody stay tuned for that as well. And when we come back from the break, we are going to take your questions for Michael Moore. We'll be right back.
Meet the Bloggers is very much your show. And as with the Brave New Films movies and the Brave New Films short videos, you really are the distributor. So go to the website, find out how you can embed it in your blog, find out how you can contact the local cable access company and get it on the air. Take the clips that we provide and send them to your local TV station, to reporters, to bloggers. Write about it yourself. This can and will spread, but it's only going to happen with your help. So please get involved with Meet the Bloggers and make sure that the country, no, in fact, the world, knows about these interesting, intelligent, progressive viewpoints.
Hi, it's Cenk from Meet the Bloggers. If you like the issue we're discussing this week, you can find out so much more about it on our partner blog, HuffingtonPost.com, Alternet.org, ThinkProgress.org, JackandJillPolitics.com, OfAmerica.wordpress.com, and TheYoungTurks.com. We blog about the issue before and after the show, so you can check it out all week long. All right, welcome back to Meet the Bloggers. We're going to take your questions now. Before we do it, let me just update you on a poll we're running on the live blog. We're asking who should be Obama's VP, the conversation we just had. Evan Bayh is barely registering. Biden's not doing badly, but right now, at number one, Caroline Kennedy at 39%. So apparently people are taking Michael's suggestion. So now, Michael, we're going to take some questions from the audience. And by the way, every question that we get, the person will get an autographed copy of Michael's book and we're going to pick a grand prize winner at the end of the shows, and they're going to get Michael's hat, literally off his head. So that should be interesting. Michael, the first one is from Tim from Atlanta, Georgia, and he's asking about health care. Here it is.
Is this: how do we get Barack Obama's attention on the issue of, well, novel idea, right? It was your last film, single-payer universal health care coverage.
Barack Obama is really bad on this issue. He has been during the whole campaign. It makes no sense to me, frankly, but obviously he's gotten some bad advice. So I think here's what's going to happen. This is my hope. He's been nudged along a bit by the platform committee and the good work that the California nurses and other groups have done to kind of move the ball down the field 5 yards. But I think the good news is that in Congress, there are now 91 co-sponsors for the single-payer John Conyers universal health care bill. That's an enormous amount of co-sponsors. If we have a strong Democratic Congress in this term and Obama is elected, I think that the movement for universal health care is going to have to come from our elected representatives in the Congress and push them to get that bill passed. Get that bill passed. Obama's not going to veto a bill passed by the Democratic Congress. He's going to have to be brought along, as has happened in the past when we've had Democratic Congresses, and maybe the Democratic president hasn't been as liberal as the Congress, but ends up doing the right thing. So I think that's probably going to be the strategy to get universal health care during an Obama administration. Certainly during a McCain administration, the solution is going to be, take 2 aspirin and good Charlie.
Michael, I love that answer because I hadn't thought of it that way. You're right. Obama couldn't veto the bill if the Democrats pass it, and that's a great way of pressuring him to it. Yeah.
Right.
Michael, we have one more question for you. That's a video question. It's Julie from Rochester, New York, who's asking this one.
Hi, Michael Moore. My name is Julie, and I'm from Rochester, New York. I'm a Middle Eastern American. I'm really offended by the media's coverage saying that Hussein is a Islamic name when it's actually an Arabic name, and there's many people of many religions that have those names, and the fear-mongering, and I'm just curious about your thoughts on that. Thanks.
Well, of course, we all hate seeing that, and of course the Republicans are gonna pound that from now till November 4th. But I guess we're having to hope and pray that the 51% of the American public doesn't respond to that sort of thing. But they're preying on people's ignorance in terms of they're hoping that people don't realize that the name Hussein is like Smith, and he's done pretty well so far with a name like Barack and then a name like Obama. So I'm going to remain hopeful and optimistic.
I'm hopeful too. I'm surprised at how well he's done. It almost makes me believe that a guy like Cenk Uygur can do well in America. So he's given us all a little bit of hope. Unfortunately, we're out of time for today, but we're going to have more viewer questions in part 2 of our discussion with Michael Moore next week. And so we will take those when we talk about Mike's Guide to Election 08. In the next week, we're going to discuss how to fix our broken election system and the first 10 presidential decrees that Obama should make in his office. Those are all from Michael's book. Michael, thanks for joining us this week, and we will see you next week. And everybody, we will all see you as well. Remember, 1 o'clock Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific on meetthebloggers.org. Until then, go ahead and do something.